How about you guys, Kelvin?
I should say, I have a view that the situation we're in right now is, and I apologize to Susan who's here, who heard me talk just last week about this idea of reset instead of recovery. That I don't believe, if any of you are sitting here saying, when are we going to go back to the good old days? It's not going to happen. That in all likelihood, a recovery, in the modest sense of the word, is going to be kind of being where we are right now for a pretty long time. And so the question that you have to ask yourselves is not how are you as a nonprofit organization going to survive and recover, but how are you going to reset what you do in light of the externalities that you're working with right now. So our viewpoint as a foundation starts with the idea that every one of you is tasked with the mission of kind of tinkering and re-engineering your airplane while it's flying. And so in a lot of ways, we haven't changed fundamentally what we're doing. We have a capacity, as many of you know, the foundational grant-making program of the Hawaii Community Foundation is our capacity building program, which, by the way, the next deadline is July 1. Go to hawaiicommunityfoundation.org and you can pull down all of the stuff that we're doing on capacity building. But we fundamentally believe that organizations need to pay attention to the capacity that it has to do things like good governance, strategy, marketing, infrastructure work, besides just the programmatic work that you do in your mission. And if you can't take care of that stuff, it's very hard to do a good job at the other stuff. And so, if anything, I think we have a more pronounced emphasis on the capacity building work that we're doing, and we're hoping that we can help and assist organizations to do it. The other thing is we fund a lot of collaborative work in the nonprofit community. We're interested and supportive of funding more of it. And I would say that as a funder, we're doing more of that ourselves. We've got a partnership with Terry. We've got a partnership with Nancy. Donna and I have been talking about a partnership around certain things. And so, and we have this partnership with the State Foundation of Culture and Arts, where we match all the money that is going to the State Foundation now to support arts in schools. And we're doubling down that money that's coming from the government. So our point is that in this time, we have to walk the talk about our own level of collaboration of what we're doing in the funder community, which, by the way, is like herding cats in an order of magnitude that you have no idea what it's like. But I think, and it's small, but it's a few cats, but they're really busy. And they're hyper, and they run around like crazy. So, you know, so it's very hard to kind of do that. But I think that, you know, we have to be part of that collaborative spirit as well, because we can't fund everything, and there has to be some level of prioritization that's occurring not only in your side of the equation, but on our side of the equation as well.
Quickly on our end, and then let's open it up for a conversation about what you do in our shoes and other questions you got. We've decided to focus even more on what we're doing. I came to our board in December with a sort of package of things that I thought might be good to provide for some of those basic needs, and our board said no. They said, we don't know yet what the community needs. And if we're not careful, if we give great big announcements of gifts in early December, that may actually diminish individuals' decisions to give to those same needs. If you're going to give later when it really hurts and we really know how bad it's hurting. And we just found out even today in today's newspaper how much worse it is. And because we are working on social justice and civil rights issues, the right of every child to a great education, we just found out today, again, they're going to have to cut another, I think it's $160 million out of next year's budget. That we already are working on some economic downturn issues. The second area, I'm hearing from fishermen that they're getting more folks out there saying, well, maybe I can actually go out and both feed my family some more fish, as well as maybe sell some in Chinatown or elsewhere. So there's more pressure on that resource as well. And then thirdly, there's Windward, Oahu is a very diverse place, and there's a lot of problems there, but it's very hard in our seat to know what's going on. Because basically there's me, a program officer, a grants manager, one working board member who works very part-time, about 20 or 25% of his official time, I think, is what Mitch Joliet is able to provide, although he spends a lot more time on it than that, thank goodness. So we were inspired by a conversation at your bank about Housing Hawaii, Donna, and so we've decided to go out and survey every firefighter, every police officer, and every public school teacher who teaches from Kahuku to Waimanalo and say, what are you seeing? And also, what's happening with your family? Can you even afford to live in the communities where you serve? If you can't, why not? And what are the implications on your family life and your commute and your time that you can spend with family? Because if these public servants can't spend time with their families, then we've got a problem, and we've got to fix that problem long term. The other problem, I think, is, do you respond? We're a perpetual trust. While we're a business as well, we generate money perpetually. 5% of the value of our assets, no matter how big they are, at least at minimum, are spent out in the community every year as grants. So we need to think about the problems of today, but we also need to think about saving some money for problems of tomorrow. We just borrowed from tomorrow to spend this year. But the tomorrow that Kelvin just wrote about in the Hawaii Business Magazine is a really big one, which is the next 50 years, he says, this deal doesn't work anymore. The deal that you can get a job in construction, you can get by in tourism jobs. That deal doesn't work anymore, so you're absolutely not right that we need to reset. So the real answer to the question of what we're going to do is we don't know.